Hello, my name is Mathilda Shepard. I was a Fulbright English teaching assistant in Barranquilla, Colombia for the academic year 2015 to 2016. I applied to Fulbright Colombia for a few reasons. I knew that I wanted to go to grad school and I wanted to specialize in Latin America, but I'd never lived abroad before. And I thought that it would be really important to have that experience if I'm going to become a scholar of a particular region. And I was specifically attracted to Colombia because of the peace negotiations that were going on at the time between the government and the FARC. So I thought this would be a really cool moment to be living in the country and to have that experience. I did a few different things as an English teaching assistant in Barranquilla. I taught English classes at a public university called the Universidad del Atlántico. And this was very different from what I had expected because I wasn't really a teaching assistant. I was actually in charge of teaching my own classes, which is something that I had never done before. I had tutored in the past, but I'd never stood up in front of a class and actually given formal lessons, and especially not at the college level. So that was a huge learning experience for me. Fulbright also requires us to do a social engagement project. So I ended up volunteering with the Colombian Agency for Reintegration, which at the time is the government body that was responsible for assisting former combatants who were reintegrating into civilian life. So that was a really interesting and unique experience, and I was very lucky to have been to have been in a city where there was a local reintegration office, and to have had the opportunity to approach them and get to volunteer in that capacity. I also did some writing for local media outlets, like online news platforms. I did some reporting in and around Barranquilla, so that was also a neat experience to try journalism. The Fulbright program contributed to my career development in enormous ways. I had applied to grad school with one set of ideas of what I thought I wanted to write my dissertation on or what I thought was going to be my research plan, and it completely changed as a result of Fulbright. Um, to give you a sense of like how much this mattered, I'm now writing my dissertation on anti-militarism and the cultural politics of nonviolence in Colombia. So I think that having lived in Colombia gave me some roots and some connection, and like some grounding in a place, that made it a lot easier and sensible to jump into a research project. I don't think that I would be in a stronger position now as a scholar if I'd never had that experience of living in the country. And I will also say that having the practice teaching really helped me develop as an instructor in the United States as well. Fulbright is a fully funded experience, and I didn't need any additional funding. What they paid me in my stipend was more than enough money to rent a room in Barranquilla that was in a good location. It covered all of my food and transportation expenses. I even had enough money to take some like short trips to different cities. So I would say that you don't really have to worry about your expenses for the year that you're doing Fulbright. They take pretty good care of their grant recipients. First and most obvious thing is read the application instructions carefully for the specific country program that you're applying to. They're all different. So, like, the English teaching program in Colombia looks different from the English teaching program in Spain in terms of what you're going to be asked to do, and what sort of profile you need to have to look attractive in the application. Another thing is to make sure that you explain very clearly how the Fulbright experience will contribute to your longer term professional and career goals. Make sure that you're expressing that this isn't just some one off way to live abroad for a year, but that it's really connected to some longer term goals and objectives that you have. Um, I would also say that you should kind of study the language that Fulbright uses to describe their mission and their goals, and connect your statement of purpose to some of those Fulbright missions and objectives. So, like, they're real big on promoting mutual understanding across countries through community engagement. So, if you can kind of work in some of that language to your own statements, that'll show them that you understand what they're about and that you're going to try to work to advance their goals. And lastly, something that I wish I had known before I applied was just that this was an option. I didn't find out about like the Fulbright grants until like 3 weeks before the internal deadline for UVA was approaching. So I really slapped together my application fast. I was lucky to have people who were willing to write recommendations for me very last minute. But I hope that you are in a different situation and that you have ample time to ask for recommendations, to write your statements, to get feedback on your statements from somebody, and to really apply with the amount of time that it takes to put together a thoughtful and careful application.